How's it going, gentlemen? It's Jesse here, and today I'm sharing with you a quick little routine that you can use to build massive, thick, palpable sexual tension with a beautiful woman, get her turned on, and get her grabbing you by the collar for you to take her back to your place for a quick, fast shebang, all while barely even touching her. And this little routine is great to use on a first date. You can use it on a girl you meet at a bar or in a nightclub. In fact, this was one of the very first routines I used on girls out in the bars almost 20 years ago now, and it was one of my very favorites because it would work just about every single time. No matter what the circumstances, no matter what girl I was using it on, good girls, bad girls, older women, younger women, I always busted out this routine. And pretty much right there and then, it made the girl I was talking to get extremely horny. I can't even tell you how many times this one little routine has gotten me laid over the years, even when I wasn't doing anything else. And while I've changed, improved, updated a lot of what I do over these last 20 years, I still do this one little routine. That's how good this is. That's how much I really love this one. Now, I have made tweaks to it over the years, so I'm going to share with you the updated, the latest version of this little routine with you right now. So I call this one the hot spots routine, and this is how it goes. So first, we have to set things up. So say I'm talking to a tall, tan blondie with a killer smile. I say to her, you know, Amber, you want to know something that I find interesting? And you want to get her to ask you what it is. Well, did you know that you have these special hot spots all over your body? Yeah, any place where your body bends or twists or folds, like the back of your elbow or the back of your knee. There are millions of sensitive little nerve endings called exteroceptors that release endorphins when they're touched. Yeah, and some people respond differently to others depending on where they're touched. So Amber, I'm kind of curious to see which hot spots you like the most. So that right there is the setup. We were simply setting things up. And then we want to go on to step number 2. Step number 2 is to get her permission. Now this is a pretty sexual routine. We're going to be building lots of thick sexual tension with the girl. We'll be doing some light touches all over her body. And usually whenever you're about to do something very sexual with the girl, you want to get her permission first before you proceed. Because when we get her explicit verbal permission to proceed, where she's like, yeah, go ahead and show me, now we can get away with a whole lot more. We can now get away with touching her all over her body. Like, just imagine if we didn't get permission from the girl to proceed and we just started touching her all over like we're gonna do in the next steps, it can come across as too grabby, as too handsy, and there's just more for her to push back on and back away from you. So we say to her, look, Amber, there are millions of these sensitive little nerve endings all over your body called exteroceptors that release endorphins when they're touched. And some people respond differently than others. So I'm curious to see which hot spots you like the most. And now we're gonna go ahead and get her permission. So are you curious to find out for yourself? Let's see which of these hot spots are your favorite, all right? Now if she backs away from you and she's like, no, 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 you know, she's not giving you any compliance. You're not getting the permission there, and that means there's a lack of attraction. You need to back up a couple steps first. But look, in my own experience, if that girl even likes you a little bit, most women are gonna tell you, yeah, I'm really interested, show me. And now you have that explicit verbal permission from the girl to go ahead and proceed with the routine. So first things first, you're gonna reach out, you're gonna take the girl by the hand, and you're gonna tell her, you know, you have a lot of exteroceptors here on the inside of your wrist, and you're just going to very gently touch her wrist with very gentle light feather light strokes where you're barely even touching her. And you're going to ask her, so how does that feel? How does that touch feel? And you want her to affirm and say, yes, it feels good. And then you can ask her, all right, so from 1 to 10, 10 being the most pleasurable, how does that feel? And imagine she says, well, feels like a 6.5. And you can say, okay, that's fantastic. Now, this is a key point. This is important. The touch needs to be very, very gentle, very, very light, because what we're doing here is trying to build sexual tension. And when it comes to touch, less is more. Less is more when it comes to touch and sexual tension. Like, for example, if you start making out with a girl and you start putting your tongue all the way down her throat, that will break the sexual tension because suddenly she's getting everything she wants. But instead, if you were to give her like a little kiss and then you take that kiss away, you stop kissing her. In other words, you're giving her like a little taste of that feel-good drug and then you take it away. That helps to build, it helps to increase the sexual tension. So you're giving her a light, gentle little stroke on her wrist. You're just giving her a little taste of what it feels like for you to touch her. You're giving her a little preview, and then you are taking it away. You're taking it away, and that's when the sexual tension goes up. Now, you're gonna move from the girl's wrist up to her elbow, and you're gonna gently, lightly touch the inside of her elbow, and you can tell her, you know, the inside of your elbow, that's another hot spot a lot of people have. So how does that feel? How does that touch feel from 1 to 10? And you want to get her to affirm, yeah, it feels good. So now you're gonna move from the inside of her elbow up to her clavicle. So you're gonna touch her clavicle right here, and you can tell her, so Amber, the clavicle is another hot spot that a lot of people have. So how does that feel? Does that feel even better? Now you want to notice here how we're going through the girl's different hot spots from the least intimate, which is her wrist, to more intimate, closer on her core body, which is the inside of her elbow, to even more intimate, which is her clavicle right here near her neck. And the obvious reason that we're doing it in that particular order is because we're building positive compliance momentum, right? She complies with the wrist touch. She affirms that she likes it. So then, and only then, do we move on to the next most intimate spot, the inside of her elbow. And she complies with the touch there. She agrees that she likes it. Once she agrees, then we move on to the next most intimate spot, her clavicle. And now that you've touched her clavicle, you can reach out to her, reach out behind the back of her neck. So you're gonna touch right back here and you tell her, you know, the back of your neck, that's another hot spot. So how does that touch feel from 1 to 10? Feels good, right? And get her to affirm, yes, it feels good. All right, gentlemen, next up, we're gonna start to hit the girl's erogenous zones. And this is where things get really spicy. We really start to turn the girl on. And, you know, maybe you can start to see how you don't need to be the best looking guy for this thing to work. How you can still punch way out of your league. Because I guarantee you that no other guy out there is doing this sort of thing on a girl. Most men are just trying to throw money on her, but they're not turning her on up here. Her biggest erogenous zone, her brain. And being able to turn on her brain, I call that process blissnosis. Blissnosis is my system that I've been developing over the last 20 years to quickly turn a girl on so you can be kissing her within 10 minutes of meeting her. That's right, guys, you have no excuses here. You meet a girl, you can be kissing her within 10 minutes. And if you're interested in learning how to do that, and you're over the age of 30, you're interested in dating younger women, and this is one of those areas of your life you just want to get handled once and for all, go right here to blissnosis.com. There's a short application there you can fill out to apply to work with me personally, one-on-one together. And if I choose to work with you, I'll coach you on my entire blissnosis process to create an automated system that just funnels new girls in front of you until we find that one special, beautiful girl that's right for you. Now, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of men over the last 20 years, and at this point, I got a 90% success rate with the guys who put in the work and stick with the program for 12 weeks. So, gentlemen, let's get this problem fixed for you once and for all, and let's make it happen. Now, moving on, you could stop there at the neck, or you could proceed further to touch even more intimate spots on her body. Right, moving on to her erogenous zones. So what you can do, example, is gently pass the back of your hand on her breast, on her nipple areas, and tell her that's a hot spot. Or you can reach down and touch the inside of her thigh and tell her that's a hot spot and ask her how that feels. Or you could say to her, you know, there's also a hot spot right back here, right where I gently pull the back of your hair, and then you're gonna give her hair a very gentle tug at the base of her neck, right? Just giving her a little preview of what you would do with her in the bedroom. And then again, you're gonna tell her, so it feels good, right? And you wanna get her to affirm, yes, it feels good. And you can ask her, so from 1 to 10, how good does that feel? And have her give you a number. Now remember, you're doing this all under the simple premise that different people have different favorite hotspots. And you're trying to figure out which one is her favorite hotspot. That's why you're doing all this. So now let's declare a winner. So you could say to her, so I'm curious, girl, what is your favorite hotspot that we've touched so far? And she might say, oh, it's my neck, or oh, it's my tummy, whatever it is. And then you can say, okay, so now we know that your favorite hotspot is your neck. That's so interesting. In addition, the next step here, and this is somewhat optional, but you want to reward her compliance. So you could tell her, for example, you did really well at that. You get a point. Or, I love how open-minded you are about trying new things. You're not like other girls. Or you could even bring her in for a little hug, right? You want to reward that compliance by giving her a compliment, giving her points, because that's going to reinforce that good behavior from her. Now, I'm telling you guys, this hotspots routine, if you execute it properly with good delivery, it builds massive levels of sexual tension with the girl. It's going to start to get her pussy wet. And best of all, you've already broken that touch barrier now in so many places all over her body. You've touched her all over. And once you've touched a girl once in a place, now you can touch her there again and again and again. In addition, you also know where her favorite spot to be touched is now. So if she's told you that her favorite spot to be touched is her neck, anytime you want to get her turned back on, give her a little teasing bite on her neck or touch her on her neck, because you know for a fact it's her favorite spot to be touched. And the reason you know it's her favorite spot is because she told you. She told you where to touch her. She told you where her favorite spot is. And now you can seduce her with that valuable information. Now, this next part is important, guys, because there's two different distinct ways you can show the girl the hotspots routine depending on your subcoms. And the first way you can show her the routine is you kind of do it in a matter-of-fact kind of way. Like you're the professor and she's the student. And you're just coolly and nonchalantly showing her all of her hotspots. So in this first delivery style, your delivery is more show and tell. Like, yeah, girl, you're gonna find this interesting. You got this hotspot here. You got this other hotspot over here. Don't worry, the professor has got you. And of course, you make eye contact with the girl. And because of that eye contact, because of all the feather-like teasing and touching, some sexual tension will be created. Let's say 5 out of 10 sexual tension. She's gonna get turned on a bit. But what you're also doing with this first delivery style, where you're nonchalant and showing her like a professor, is you're also creating some sexual value, especially if you're touching her erogenous zones, like you touch the inside of her thigh, or you gently pull on the back of her hair. Here you're giving her a little taste of how much fun and wild it's gonna be in the bedroom with you. Now, the second way, your second delivery style for the hotspots routine is more emphasis on creating 10 out of 10 sizzling, thick, crackling sexual tension. And your subcoms are gonna be different in that case. In this second delivery style, you're gonna hold more steady, sustained, highly sexualized eye contact with the girl, where you're giving her those deep tiger eyes, like you just wanna rip her apart. And you're gonna step closer into the girl's physical space. And you're gonna slow your speaking rhythm down even more with longer pauses. So you're speaking to her in this highly sexualized, very seductive manner. All with a playful, cocky smile on your face, of course, but it should have much more of a feel of sex between the two of you. Like the space between the two of you is crackling and sparkling with more sexual electricity. In other words, you can deliver the hotspots routine in two different ways. You can deliver the hotspots routine with some sexual tension, like 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, or you can turn that dial knob of sexual tension up, change your subcoms, and use this routine to create 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 sexual tension. And how much sexual tension you're going for in your subcoms, that's largely going to depend on where you are in the interaction with the girl. So for example, if you just met her 5 minutes ago at the bar and you do this routine on her, you might want to go for a more dispassionate professor vibe, like you're just showing her something cool and interesting and that's about it. On the other hand, if you've already spent an hour and a half with her at the bar and you're thinking about yanking her back to your place now, maybe you want to go for different subcomps that create a 10 out of 10 deep, thick sexual tension. It all depends on where you are in the interaction and what you're going for. All right, gentlemen, since you enjoyed this video, you'll want to watch this one next. Innocent, flirty little lines that will make a girl suddenly feel 10 out of 10 horny for you. Enough with the boring platonic conversations that go absolutely nowhere. Insert these flirty little lines into any conversation and suddenly you're gonna find that girl to be very motivated to go on that first date with you.